Good day, friends. This is Tracy Brown, your somatic nutrition therapist and attuned eating expert. And I want to say thank you for your patience. I went on a little family trip, probably mid to end of last week, and got back Sunday evening. And we had a pretty good time. It was pretty relaxing and all that. So I might share a few pictures later on this week. We'll see. But anyway, thank you for giving me another day to land back in my life. That was yesterday when I typically do the video. So usually I do videos going forward, probably Monday, Wednesdays, and then kind of a summary thing on Fridays. This week we're going to do probably today and tomorrow videos, and then do a little summary. So a little bit of a condensed week. So thanks for hanging in there. And for all of you who are watching live, I appreciate you just, again, sticking with me. So I thought this week we would talk about movement because I do find that, honestly, this time of year, especially as things are getting warmer, at least in the northern hemisphere, maybe not in the southern, but in the northern hemisphere, people are starting to want to get out, and there's like excitement about that, but there's also sometimes this self-flagellation or frustration or competing or comparing against our former selves, or the part of us that feels like we should be doing it differently, and we're not really taking into account our here and now motives, values, priorities, and the bodies that we're living with. So I'm gonna talk about a lot of different things today, just so I want as many people as possible to feel included in this. So I do always take into account that not everybody within our lifetimes are going to be the same able-bodied, and that can be due to any kind of health condition, aging, accidents, chronic illnesses, whatever the situation is, that we're it doesn't really matter. It's really about remembering first and foremost that our worth isn't dependent on our ability to move. Let's say that you're somebody who doesn't and isn't able to move much for any kind of reason. I think it's important that people hear that this does not diminish value in personhood or in any kind of way. That's really important for me to say, just because I've worked with all kinds of people in all kinds of situations, and that's something that people can be really hard on themselves about, and it's just not necessary. So if you're hearing this and recognizing that my body just doesn't do what typical, maybe able-bodied people's bodies can do, this isn't really not so much it's not the video for you, but it's like I want you to feel like, and I want you to know that you're seen and heard, and that I think that movement can come in all kinds of increments as well. So it's really important to allow yourself to just honor what you can do, because the goal here is to help you feel more embodied and the most agency with your body that you can. Okay, so there's that. Another part of this is that a lot of people come to me and they're struggling with compulsive movement. I know that I did both ends of the spectrum. I was very much exercise addicted, and then I was very much like, I don't want to move because I'm so afraid of going back there. So I've been on both ends, and recognize there is a journey home back to the middle, and we're going to talk about that in tomorrow's video. Is like, how do you know that you're there? So for those of you who are struggling with getting yourself basically to move less, I think it's really important that you recognize that compulsive movement is such a flight response. It is a way to try to deal with all of a lot of unprocessed sympathetic, fight or flight charge. And when you hold still is when you feel like you're going to die, or something bad's going to happen, or it just feels emotionally excruciating. Just recognize, I know that for one day you can probably use your willpower to exercise less. But for that to be ongoing, what we really need to work on is safety. So it's really important that you recognize, and this is what I share with my clients, is that we've got to get into some co-regulatory relationship. So talking this out and having a plan day to day to be able to have something there for you to hold on to. So it's not just about white-knuckling, not moving. Okay, and slowly working that back down. It's so important that you recognize that, like, you can say, okay, I'm going to cut back from 2 hours a day to an hour and a half, or 1 hour, or 45 minutes, or whatever is actually not harming your body. Okay, and some people need to go to zero. I know I had to go to zero just because I really needed to clean slate it. And for me, I didn't go down to zero. I went down to like less days. That's what worked for me. And then working my back down. And I had to fill that space with goodness and safety. It couldn't just be like nothing. I had to fill that space with something else. That aligned with my values, who I wanted to be, because I knew I didn't want to be seen lifelong as a person who can't not go to the gym, who freaks out when you don't move. I didn't want to be that. And that's what the eating disorder told me. Basically, that's what you have to do to be okay. All right, so let's go to the other end, where maybe you're somebody, who's, maybe movement is just never been, I don't know, something that you got a lot of bang out of, and that's okay. We're all on the spectrum of like how much, maybe aliveness that we feel from movement. So I think it's really important that, because we do live in such a like productive, get after it, getting adulation, honestly, for going to the gym every day kind of culture, that it's hard not to feel like that if you don't value that there's something wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. But we also have bodies that on some level have probably at least a little bit of hunger for movement. So it's in there, but it might not be that loud for most of us, or some of us. So I think it's important, if you're knowing that, like, I know I feel better once I get going, but I can't get there. For you who's watching and listening to this and is struggling with that, it's really important that, again, you don't try to white knuckle yourself to make yourself do it in a certain kind of way as well. It's more about, look at your priorities, your values. If you're in a part in your career where it's like, I do need to spend a lot of time, like, honestly, at my computer, or I'm trying to build something, or I have a lot of responsibility, the first step is, it's going to be hard for you to want to like leave that computer or not take care of XYZ. So it's really important that you recognize that you're going to need to really look at your values, your priorities, and then, what you can maybe restructure and make more time for doing that, but not turning that again into like an all or nothing, so overly reliant on willpower. It needs to be not a threat, basically. And so let me give you some other examples. And sometimes we end up wanting and feeling pressure to make ourselves go to places to do activities that there are other reminders that don't feel good. So you might try to make yourself go to the gym, but all you feel around you is this, all your neurocepting around you is like, oh, I feel like so many people here, and there's so much, like, I know I'm sensitive to this. Like, I go to the gym, and I haven't been in gym probably into one, probably, I don't know, at least a dozen years, maybe more, because it's just not my scene, definitely anymore. But, I'm really, I neurocept very acutely other people's feelings about their body, to be honest. That, like, they're there because they don't feel good enough, or it's not enough. And I pick up on that stuff. So it's kind of hard to be around when it's there a lot, especially if some gyms are more laid back, some gyms are not. And I think it's really important that you find a place of, this feels like more my speed as well. If you choose to be at a place like this as well, you might be at a place where it's like, I can't really go and do certain kinds of activities because I haven't processed enough some of the body or the diet trauma around those activities, and that's why I'm not doing it. So instead of like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I get there? If I could just do it, if I could just get the right swimming suit, if I could just get the right time of day, it's like, well, maybe it's not about that stuff. Maybe it's about the actual activities. There's something in your system that's saying, no, this is too much. It's too much of a threat. And so of course we don't go. So I know this is a lot of information, but if you figured out like your motives to move and your priorities, and you're recognizing, yeah, I don't need to move like I did in my 20s. I'm in my 50s. I don't really need it for that. So why am I still hesitating? I'm not trying to go there and do hardcore activity or sign up for races. I don't have anything to prove. That doesn't feel like a challenge that I want in my life or whatever, but I still can't get myself to ride my bike or take a walk or whatever. Is that we need to unpack, what value we're placing on how much you think you should do for it to count, or whatever the issues are. And that's where you're going to see probably where you're stuck. There's a vortex there of like, oh, I'm telling myself it doesn't count if I just go outside and like walk to the mailbox and back, or I didn't break a sweat, or whatever the labels and the pressures you're putting on yourself. Know that those are your barriers. And so that's something that we would like, I would love to help you work through, but I'm just giving you a little bit of, this is the starting place to work through. So, all right. So in tomorrow's video, we're going to talk about, like, where's the middle? Like, what does the middle look like? And if it's like, I don't want to be compulsive and I want to never not move. And again, if that's a place you're at in terms of your ability and your interest, we're going to talk about what that might look like. And the middle is different, obviously, for everybody, depending on ability and interest. And for some people, the middle is nothing, because that's the season of life that you are in. And you also need to honor that and fill that space with other life-affirming things. So we're going to talk about that in tomorrow's video. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you felt that it was helpful, validating, just something you even hadn't thought about, looking at it from this angle, then let me know about it. Let me know that this was, I'm sorry about all the ums today, but this was something that gave you more to think about and a new direction to go with it if you're stuck. Also share it with your friends that are struggling with only using movement as a way to hasten their dieting efforts, but they don't like what they're doing. Like, oh, I hate spinning. Like, why are you going to spinning? Well, it burns the most calories per hour. I'm just making it up. I don't know if that's true. But, like, well, then why are you doing things you hate? That doesn't seem very healing or nourishing or even healthy. Why are we doing this? Oh, it's not about health, is it? I gotcha. All right. So we're going to talk more about that tomorrow as well. Thank you so much for watching. Share this with your friends if you're feeling led to, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.